Good afternoon and welcome. My name is the Reverend Dr. Nathan Albert. That's the first time I've gotten to say that. First time I got to wear this funny hat. I think it looks pretty good. I am the University Chaplain on behalf of our colleagues in the Spiritual Life Center and the University of Lynchburg. I welcome you, especially our graduates, to the 2024 Baccalaureate and Blessing Ceremony. Today we'll listen to some readings, we'll hear a reflection from one who dedicated her life, decades, to higher education. We'll bestow an honorary degree, take in the sounds of our choir, and we'll share blessings and hopes for our students who will be graduating tomorrow and Friday. This afternoon we find ourselves in Snidow Chapel, built and completed in 1967. It was named after Clifton L. Snidow, who was a member of the Board of Trustees from 1906 to 1928. The chapel, where it stands now, is opposite the dell from Hopwood Auditorium, or Hopwood Hall, the original academic building of the school. Between them is a long sidewalk, actually the only direct sidewalk on our entire campus between two buildings. And it symbolizes how faith and reason balance one another, how spirituality and knowledge often share the same path, how one's faith impacts one's education and one's education can affect one's spirituality, and that our mind and our heart must always be connected to flourish in our world. And yet we recognize long before this chapel was built and centuries before the University of Lynchburg was founded, in 1903, the Monacan Indian nation inhabited this land on which we stand. And so we honor, we acknowledge, and we offer our respect to the Monacan people, past, present, future, and emerging. The many ceremonies we'll celebrate this week highlight our diversity and our intersectionality as a campus. I hope for you students especially, you've started to warmly accept your intersecting identities, race, class, gender, orientation, ethnicity, religion, spirituality, your gender expression, and that these differences and this diversity is truly a gift. It is not something to be erased, it is something to be embraced. It's not something we need to hide, but it is something we learn to shine. So my hope is in the coming days you remember the sacredness that abides in you, in and through your classmates, and that all this will remain with you as you depart this campus. With that, my sister, brothers, and non-binary kin, I invite you to join me in the spirit of your tradition as we pause together as a moment of centering, prayer, or reflection as we acknowledge the sacredness of our time together. Join with me. Divine mystery of wisdom and power, the one who is diverse as creation, we give you thanks. We give thanks for our graduates, for their achievements and accomplishments, for their dreams, their desires. And we ask that you would guide them as they discover their true selves, as they continue to learn, serve, and lead. We give thanks for parents, families, and friends of our graduates, for faculty, staff, administrators on this campus, for their leadership, for their companionship, for their dedication and their nurturing guidance. Divine Mother Mystery, may all of us in this place know our inherent worth and value. May we be reminded of our interconnectedness with all things. May we embrace our differences as the foundation for community, and may we become people who embrace the truth of our belovedness in order to live as agents of justice, faithfulness, and love. May it be so. Amen and amen. With that, I'd like to invite up our Interfaith Chaplain, Jer Bryant, to share with us a few readings.
Birdsong, Rumi. Birdsong brings relief to my longing. I'm just as ecstatic as they are, but with nothing to say. Please, universal soul, practice some song or something through me. God of Creation by Sheila Friedman Rubin. Creator of all, hear me. Hear my words of praise. I am in awe of your handiwork. I love your quiet, secret places, the streams of sparkling water, your brooks that splash and babble, the warble of all variety of birds, hues distinct against the forest green. Here a jewel, a flower stem, lifts its budding head toward the sun. Creatures small and furry scurry home where families await your bounty. Creator, your gifts are many. With appreciation, I thank you and praise your creative hand, a myriad of sensations so beautiful for sight and sound. Each glimpse, I rejoice in this diversity and praise your wondrous artistic touch. God of creation, hear my prayer. Mucho Impermanence by Dogen. To what shall I liken this world but to moonlight reflected in dewdrops shaken from a shorebird's bill?
think we need one more round of applause for the amazing Dr. Kraft and the Lynchburg Choir. Well, good evening. My name is Alison Morrison-Shetler. I am the president of this wonderful University of Lynchburg, and this evening it is my great pleasure to introduce our baccalaureate speaker to you. The first baccalaureate services are said to have begun at Oxford University in the early 15th century. Tonight is truly historic, as each of you now joins the hallowed ranks of esteemed scholars who have taken part in this long-honoured tradition of celebrating the union of faith and reason before commencement. It is fitting then that our speaker tonight is someone who has been helping university scholars bring heart and mind and scholarship and faith together for decades. Someone who President Joel Enlor of Hartford International University for Religion and Peace called an icon in the field of chaplaincy. Dr. Janet F. Fuller is not only the country's longest serving university chaplain, but has twice served as the president of the National Association of College and University Chaplains and presided over its merger with the Association of Chaplaincy and Spiritual Life in Higher Education. Jan currently serves as the co-director of the Master of Arts in Chaplaincy program at HIU, a role she came to after serving 40 years as chaplain to Yale University, Hollins College, and Elon University, where I had the privilege of working with her for 4 years. A true pioneer in multi-faith chaplaincy, Dr. Fuller understands how it feels to be a minority. As a child, she grew up in Lebanon, Jordan, both Muslim majority countries, with her Christian missionary parents. She considers Beirut, Lebanon, her home and is fluent in Arabic. After living through 4 wars before she was 23 and returning to the US, Dr. Fuller earned her bachelor's in English and French from Hollins College, her MDiv from Yale University Divinity School, and Doctor of Ministry from Wesley School of Theology. As an undergraduate, Dr. Fuller learned from a chaplain that faith and intellect serve each other and create wholeness. After that, it became clear that ministry in higher education was her calling. The attacks of 9/11 further inspired her to focus on building a multi-faith and interreligious community where everyone feels welcome, where everyone belongs. Dr. Fuller has spent her life bringing religious, spiritual, and secular communities into conversations with one another. Her book, Blessings for Your Students, Prayers for Interfaith Communities in Higher Education, is coming out on June 4th. She is also working on a volume about higher education chaplaincy. In her spare time, she enjoys travel, fine needlework, playing guitar, and reading memoir and fiction. Wherever she goes, Dr. Fuller builds bridges of respect, honor, and friendship. It's abundantly clear her values resonate deeply with those that we hold dear here at the University of Lynchburg. Academic rigor, belonging, connection, curiosity, excellence, and service. I can think of no one better to bless, encourage, and inspire you tonight than our keynote speaker, Dr. Janet F. Fuller. Please join me with a warm Lynchburg welcome. Welcome to the podium.
Well, all of that sounds vaguely familiar, but all at once is a little much. So I'm very grateful to Chaplain Dr. Nathan and President Allison, with whom I did work for a few years at Elon, for the invitation to speak with you today. We celebrate the completion of your degrees, your academic honors, this great milestone in your lives, and all the effort and growth it represents. Big congratulations to you all, and to your parents and guardians. You have thought deeply, befriended subject matter that stimulates your mind and heart, followed passions, worked for justice, and made friends with people who will be beside you the rest of your lives. All of this in years when we thought it impossible to go to college, to gather, to learn on Zoom while living with your parents in a bedroom you thought you'd never return to. So big blessings over your effort, success, and even on the failures that got you here. You are worthy of this degree, and we look forward to seeing how you will make the world a better place. So I have a gift for you this afternoon in the form of a question. A question that changed my life and pointed me in the right direction until now. It might provoke you first, but I think you'll find it useful and something that will take you far. My supervisor, Charlie, was my field education director, and he asked me this question when I was 23 in my first year of graduate studies. He asked the question in our third meeting. He sat there in his armchair, a little smug, and looked at me and said, "Jan, what would you die for?" Well, I don't know what your reaction is to this question, but I looked back at Charlie blankly, as if he was speaking in a foreign language. It seemed to me so much gibberish. I felt baffled, and then I got mad. What did this have anything to do with my starting a campus ministry at a regional state university? How was this any of his business? And what did he know about me? Well, I had just arrived in New Haven from Beirut, where I'd been teaching in the midst of a brutal civil war that lasted 15 years. That was my home, and I went back to it to marry my childhood sweetheart and to live my small, normal life. But by the time I came back to the States in divinity and went to divinity school, I had lived through four Middle Eastern wars. And when I added it up, I had spent about a year and a half in increments of 3 months or 2 months or half a year or a week or two in various bomb shelters, under a stairwell, even sometimes under the dining table when bombers flew over and anti-aircraft guns blazed away in the field across the street, or when artillery shells landed in our neighborhood and on our lawn. I had taught my third grade class in the basement because it seemed that bombers would come over every morning at that time, and rather than herd the children down the stairs in the dark, we just gathered there. I had driven around bodies in the road on the way to work, bloating, turning black and watery. Sorry for the graphic language. I had been run off the road by tanks, had guns pointed at my face at roadblocks or checkpoints. And I had buried my first husband, killed in an explosion during the Civil War, 6 months to the day after we had married each other from the same church in our neighborhood. It was impossible to me that he was dead, and every day I confronted that new reality of his absence and tried to fathom it again. And I would later find out, of course, that I had a lot of post-traumatic stress in my body and soul, but we were just learning that language in those early days. But I knew that I was too young to die. And I had come to America to not to follow my remaining hopes and dreams to the grave, not to die. So imagine how my ears and my heart heard Charlie's question. Imagine the rage building in me as I sat there trying not to react, trying to take in the question and hold on to my legs that just wanted to run from the room and never come back. Okay, so by now you'll be asking, why would I want to pass this along to you? From whatever trenches and stairwells you've hidden in for protection from whatever you've been threatened by. And how in the world could it be considered a gift? So just a minute, sit in your body, take a deep breath, and ask yourself how this question lands in you. Those who have been perhaps traumatized by a global pandemic that shut down all of your familiar institutions with illness and death in our communities and families. And perhaps you too carry some trauma from the events of the past that you narrowly escaped. So if you can, just hold on to the question without running away. I went away from my meeting with Charlie in a daze that really lasted a couple of months. The question kept returning to me, though I would push it away and refuse to think about it, but it haunted me, and I couldn't help but consider it. Would I die for my parents? To save the life of some hypothetical child I didn't yet have? As I went to class and learned and made friends, I wondered, would I die for the rights of my gay and lesbian friends? Would I die for my faith? I hoped so, but I doubted it. And frankly, beyond the fact that I couldn't really see the point of the question, what difference would it make at all? It's a developmental fact that young adults rarely consider that we are mortal. The aged die, and the weak. It won't be us. But suicide exists on college campuses, and automobile accidents happen, and even cancer comes more often than it used to and takes our family and friends. I hope this is not and will not be the case here, but the death of the young is real, and war is real, and all of us die. It became clear that my death would accomplish nothing for anyone about anything. In my own Christian tradition, the death of Jesus Christ had already changed everything, had reconciled the creation and the human race to God. And in that death, God absorbed all of our alienation, all of our violence, all of our willingness to stray and miss God's best purpose for us. No religions in the world advocate for dying what we care most about. And many prohibit taking on salvation and deliverance into our own hands. This has already been done for those of us who trust in divine mercy and compassion, and it would not fall to me. But would I die for an idea? For justice? I'm telling you, I couldn't find anything I would die for. And then, near the first anniversary of my husband's death, I began to weep uncontrollably and to curse war. I say without apology that all war is evil. It's one of the human original sins that we try to solve our problems by killing those with whom we disagree. But as I cursed the sin of war and its ravages on so many and on me, it settled cold and clear in my mind and heart that I would die for an end to war. And the despair that followed this thought devastates me until now, because my death will not end war. It kind of seems like nothing will. And in the midst of the rage and despair that overtook me, this thought crystallized in my heart. But my death would have no effect, and then what would be the value of my one small life? So the next time I met with Charlie, by now it had been months, I blurted out awkwardly, "Charlie, you asked me what I would die for." We hadn't mentioned it since he asked. "Nothing. I don't want to die. I refuse to die. I would die for an end of war, but my death would have no effect. So instead, I have decided that I will live for this. That is what my life will be for. I will live for the end of war. And we sat there in silence for a long time. And then he grinned ever so slightly. So now it's your turn. I hope it doesn't enrage you or dampen your celebration. But what in the world would you die for? I don't want you to die. But I think I want you to think about what you care about that much. It has to be big enough to die for if you want to live for it. And what is that for you? These years of university have been busy for you. You've focused your mind deep and wide. In Sharon Park's book, Big Questions, Worthy Dreams, she shows that it is in the young adult years that these kinds of big questions get asked and answered. But it's possible that you don't have the answer yet. I certainly didn't. But you'll know it when some injustice or some wickedness in the world makes you shudder and tremble with anger and anguish, or a passion that brings you such joy that you can't stop moving towards it. This is the answer that can guide a whole life, a commitment to make a difference in a way that only you can do. Now, how to live out the answer has hardly ever been clear to me. It's a question that is ever before me, beckoning onwards towards discovery. The question moved me right after 9/11 to pair Christian and Saudi Arabian students as buddies, to train them in stopping an act or words of bias or insult when going into town together. And from that pairing, Jewish students wanted to join, and we started having Shabbat together. And townsfolk got involved, and a large interfaith network still thrives. And the dream of peace brought me to Elon, where I led the building of a multi-faith center, a home for all religions to live and work in together. And the answer led me to help open a mosque in my city, to offer programming with students so that they could know each other. And at one such event, our first Eid al-Adha festival, students were invited to pray with the local Muslim community. After hearing a translation of the prayer, several of them joined in. And afterwards, a student with tears on her face shared that as she placed her head on the ground before God, she began to fathom what her own Episcopal prayers were supposed to mean in her heart. And recently, the question has led me to train chaplains of diverse religions in the same classroom to serve all in need, regardless of their spiritual path. Now, I'm still young enough and have a lot of life in front of me, but every major move I have made in my life has been in answer to the question asked of me that day in Charlie's office. Would you die for this? If not, then why do it? And if so, then let's live for it. And living, my answer to the question, means learning the benefits of inter-religious community. The wars in the Middle East are not religious wars, none of them, even the one ongoing now. But the dividing line seems to follow religious contours. If religious people could stop arguing with one another and begin to understand and honor each other, if religious people could ask and understand instead of fearing, think of what we could do together. We could end poverty or hunger. We could house the homeless and implement racial equity in housing, employment, and medical care. We could stand up to corrupt politicians and to weapons manufacturers who make billions every year in war and street violence. We could battle climate change and save the earth. None of these can be done alone, just you or me, but all of them could be accomplished together. If we build coalitions, if we make other religious people our neighbors and friends, if we know and love them and work with them. Building religious communities that love and honor each other, folks whose faith leads them to the work together, is in my own way my calling, my answer to what would you die for? And would you die for our democracy, for racial justice, for a cure to cancer, for an end to war? Would you die for better laws, different medical models, or peace in the world? Would you live for the end of violence and the beginning of peace? Would you live for better business practices or rights for those who need them? What do you care about enough to live your whole life for? Now, I suppose if you pressed me, that you don't absolutely have to begin with the death question, which sounds morbid even to me. But it is a question riveting enough to catch your attention and mine over the noise and promise of everything else that insists on our success and happiness and comfort. Otherwise, how would you find the biggest dream to which you're called? I promise it's not money, though you'll surely make it, or comfort, or fiction when all you've read for years is textbooks. It's not just a marriage or a partnership, though joy will add dimension and impetus to your dreams. It's not just comfort and happiness, or your own individual faith even. In fact, the dream you'll chase all the rest of your life will not be about you. Others, even nameless others, will be the face of your biggest and most compelling dream. What pains you enough in this world to die for? What brings you enough hope and joy and energy to follow all your life? That's the big question, the worthy dream that can lead you to every adventure, to change the world, to make your mark, to build communities strong enough to even take on building peace. Mary Oliver, the great American poet, said it this way: doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? May the Holy One shower you with rich blessings as your present and wild life emerges and leads the way you are to move and live and thrive, and what large dreams you live for. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. I think you challenged us to live our lives well and to live our lives together and make things good for everyone. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It is my pleasure at this point in time to confer an honorary degree. Anthony Tony A. Miller has influenced the PA medicine profession for decades. The Cleveland, Ohio native founded the master's level PA medicine program at what is now the University of Toledo. He advised on the development of Saudi Arabia's first PA program. He was the founding program director of Shenandoah University's PA program and later turned to Shenandoah, where he serves as a distinguished professor of PA studies. Tony's interest in PA medicine was sparked in the US Navy, where he was a hospital corpsman. He later earned an associate degree in physician assistant studies from Cuyahoga Community College, a bachelor's in technical education from the University of Akron, and a Master of Education in Postsecondary Administration from Cleveland State University. He did doctoral level coursework in Higher Education Administration at the University of Toledo. Tony has held leadership positions at the college, state, and national levels. Collaborating with colleagues, he has developed leadership workshops and co-founded the American Academy of Physician Associates National Medical Challenge Bowl. He co-edited Lang's Q&A for Physician Assistant and served on the editorial board for the Journal of Physician Assistant Education and has co-authored Physician Assistants from Pipeline to Practice, which appeared in Academic Medicine. He consults with educational institutions on accreditation and program development, serves on commissions, task force, and boards, and has received numerous awards and honors. And so today, in recognition of his decades of service to the PA medicine profession, the University of Lynchburg Board of Trustees is pleased to confer upon Anthony Miller the degree of Doctor of Medical Science. Please help me congratulate him.
For the last few years in our baccalaureate celebration, we've ended our service with a blessing of the students. As chaplains, we've written our hopes and our dreams for you, and so we invite you to open your hearts and souls and receive these blessings and wishes upon you. And now may the one who began a good work in you on this campus carry it through to completion, so you may know what you will die for, so you can live a life to the fullest.
Blessing for community. May you err on the side of being overly inclusive so no one is excluded. May you discover the gift of community as a place where you can fully breathe with ease. And may you encounter sanctuaries of belonging where your truest, fullest, and boldest selves are embraced, honored, and celebrated.
A blessing for diversity. May you be open to beliefs that question your certainty and expand your understanding. May you stretch far enough to see life from another's perspective, and may you care enough to want equity and justice for all human beings.
Blessings for peace. May you have peace in your heart, soul, mind, friendships, family, and home. May you find that there is no way to peace, for peace is the way, so that you may be free from suffering. And may you have peace that transcends all understanding, anchors your lives, and calms your every step.
A blessing for advocacy. May you be blessed with anger towards injustice, oppression, and the exploitation of people. May you be blessed with enough courage to advocate for others in order to make a difference in this world, and may you be a justice, peace, and change maker.
Blessing for all. May you awaken to the beauty and light that permeates existence. May you stand in wonder and amazement of the sacred all around you. And may you be in awe of the person you are becoming, the person you are destined to be.
A blessing for interconnectedness. May you trust what affects one affects all. May you know that your mutuality and interdependence upon one another is a great strength, not a weakness. And may you be aware of the source of being that is common to all living and sentient beings.
blessing for sacredness. May you experience moments full of sacredness and connection. May you encounter the transcendent as close to you as your very breath, and see the divine in and through all things. And whatever spiritual or ethical path you choose, may you see bounties of beauty and treasures of truth. May it be so. Amen.
As we end today, our choir is going to lead us in a final benediction, a musical benediction. Once they conclude, we ask that you let the platform party recess, followed by our choir, and then we can all hang out outside in beautiful weather now that it's no longer raining. But again, thank you all for attending our service today. A special thanks to all those who have helped make this event happen, and I will turn it over to Dr. Kraft and our Lynchburg singers.